Good evening, ladies and gents, wherever you may be around the world, and welcome to Splendid Isolation number 269. As always, I'm going to start us off with a tune.
Take up the white man's burden, send forth the best ye breed. Go bind your sons to exile, to serve your captives' need, to wait in heavy harness on flooded folk and wild. Your new God's sullen peoples have devil and have child. Take up the white man's burden, in patience to abide, to veil the threat of terror and check the show of pride. By open speech and simple, 100 times made plain, to seek another's profit and work another's gain. Take up the white man's burden, the savage wars of peace. Fill full the mouth of famine and bid the sickness cease. And when your goal is nearest, the end for others sought, what's love that heed and folly? Bring all your hopes to naught. Take up the white man's burden, no tawdry rule of kings, but toil of serf and sweeper, the tale of common things. The ports ye shall not enter, the roads ye shall not tread. Go make them with your living and mark them with your dead. Take up the white man's burden and reap his old reward. The blame of those ye better, the hate of those ye guard. The cry of those ye humor are slowly towards the light. Why brought ye us from bondage, a loved Egyptian night? Take up the white man's burden, ye dare not stoop to less, nor call too loud on freedom to cloak your weariness. By all ye cry or whisper, by all ye leave or do, the silent, sullen people shall wail gods and you. Take up the white man's burden, have done with childish days, the lightly profit laurel, the easy ungrudged praise. Come down to search your manhood through all of thankless years. No age with give what wisdom, the judgment of your peers. Take off the white man's burden through all of thankless years.
And that was, of course, the excellent Chris Gard. If you like good music, and you want to listen to a musician who is on our side of things politically, go and check out Chris Gard's YouTube channel, and you can also follow him on X on Twitter, where we are also live at the moment. Good evening, gentlemen. How's everyone going today?
Surviving.
Good, thanks.
Well, I knew you'd say that, Mitch. I suppose our main topic this evening is probably going to be the elections yesterday and the day before, which I think were a really good result from our point of view. And when I say our point of view, I think everyone on this panel is more or less a supporter of Restore Britain and Rupert Lowe. And Great Yarmouth First, which was his bit of the local elections, all 10 of his candidates won quite easily, which I think is excellent. And of course, there was no joy in the election for the Labour Party or the so-called Conservative Party, and even the Greens quite bad.
Well, the Tories didn't do as bad as was expected. The Greens did worse than expected.
Yeah, but if the best you can say about the Conservatives here is that they didn't do as badly as was expected, you know, I mean,
they're still a dead party, but not as dead.
The thing was, if these council elections for the Tories happened 10 years ago, then David Cameron, Theresa May would have resigned at such electoral results. It's just now because the Tory party is dead on its arse. No one's going to call for Kemi Badenoch to resign. I mean, I think there's only one Tory candidate people have bothered to look up, and that's that Turkish bird over Enfield Way. What is it? Cockfosters.
Cockfosters. The perfect place for her. Fostering cocks, yeah.
Yeah, interesting. I think I wouldn't mind betting that there's going to be some sort of Reform UK Conservative merger.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
wouldn't surprise me at all.
Reform do not have the support anymore to actually win an election outright.
I see the Reform victory as look at all that territory we're going to take over now.
Yeah, I know. In context of I think Rupert said on his Twitter that if you were to halve the Great Yarmouth vote for Restore would still win pretty handily. That's how much they trounced everyone. Because Reform were always at second place on something like 16%. I saw one ward's 21%, but still, it's a matter of even if you were to halve Restore's vote share in each ward, it'd still win pretty handily.
And the other good thing about the Restore victory in Great Yarmouth, which was as good as Rupert Lowe and Restore Britain could have hoped for, I mean, all their candidates won, was that all of their candidates were straight white men. Amazing.
Yeah, although I don't know if you saw on Twitter about Saskia Teague woman. Apparently she'd been disinvited from speaking at a Restore event up north. Apparently basically, hold you on. I refuse to believe it's anything to do with Rupert. I believe it's some mid-level admin guy just getting far beyond his remit.
Yeah.
Again, spooked over by the use of the word white.
They're 2 months. The party is 2 months old. They're going to have some teething problems. They've set up quite a lot of branches across Britain already, but I think the success in Great Yarmouth is just going to encourage more branches to be set up. And I definitely think that Rupert Lowe and Restore Britain are pretty much Britain's last political hope. I know that Arman will jump on me if I say that Britain can't come back from a much worse situation, and he's right about that. But in terms of getting out of this by voting, I think Restore are our last chance. I really do.
Yeah, I will say as a small point. I think Peter Britannia put in Discord that Entropy apparently shutting down because they've been debunked in Canada or something. So.
Yes, I have been hearing. I was on Dave the Distributor's. I was watching Dave the Distributor's stream yesterday, and he was talking about they're having problems. I'm on their Discord, so I will ask them what's going on with that shortly.
It's I've tried to open up my own Discord. I mean, trying to open up my own Entropy for my own channel, but for some reason my website doesn't work regardless of whether it's on the VPN on or off.
Well, it's working. It's working for me right now. So So yeah,
You
I don't
can
know.
get YouTube super chats though, can't you, Duke?
I could monetize the channel, but if I do that, I've never monetized the channel. If I do that, we'll get looked at much more seriously by YouTube. In terms of, and some of the stuff we say on these streams would be edgy, shall we say.
Yeah, I don't think we can rely upon something like PayPal or Ko-fi or
Yeah,
Subscribe.
I think Subscribe Star is probably the best, but I might look into that actually next week. I must apologise, by the way, to viewers because I didn't do a history stream on Wednesday. I'm going to do one this Wednesday, come what may, and it's probably going to be about the Zulu War of 1879, and it's going to be two of the most interesting battles in the Zulu War, which is the Battle of Schlaban and the Battle of Kambula, which was really the turning point of the war, the second one. Both places I know really well. I've walked all over the ground many times. So that's going to be our history stream on Wednesday. If you're into military history, you'll probably enjoy it. Right, guys. I know that Farian wants to bring up something about migrants and stuff like that. So I don't know if you want to start that one off, Farian.
This was the contentious thing among people earlier this week, and it wasn't just reform versus restore. It was like very divided on the opinion of Mohammed Yusuf's little publicity stunt of saying that they would that if your area didn't vote for reform and voted for Greens, then they'd dump legal immigrants. They'd house them there. And personally, I hated it. It seems just so third world, like because you've got that Mohammed Yusuf there, and I'm sure he was the brains behind this. Just saying, if your area, not enough of you support me, then we're going to punish you with rapists, because that's what the threat is. Even though they sort of then said, oh no, they won't be allowed out. Well, then what's the point? And it's just the idea behind it, though.
I agree with you, Farian. We were talking about this before we went live. My own solution to this would be that Britain should set up a camp on Ascension Island, which is a British territory and military base in the middle of the Atlantic, and all of the illegal economic migrants who arrive across the channel should be immediately sent there until they're deported. And my view is if we did that, and we sent maybe a company of infantry down there to guard them, even the British Army could come up with a company in its pathetic state at the moment. If we did that, I think the boats would stop. I really do. If they knew they were going to be dumped on a barren island with no local population, and it's just a dead volcano, basically.
The problem is, like, it would cost so much money because you got to factor you deport at least 1 million when you're talking about illegals, let alone illegals we have to deport. So
yeah. But
a lot of detention centers have to be on the mainland.
Yeah. But I'm talking about the guys who arrive in small boats across the channel. Right. I'm not talking about the people who arrive by aircraft and all that sort of stuff. And so you're not talking about that many. And bear in mind that RAF already flies twice a week to Ascension Island with transport aircrafts because it's a stop on the way to the Falkland Islands. So all you would be doing is filling up a lot of those empty seats. You could also, of course, quite cheaply these days, hire a ferry, which is not in service at the moment, and just send a boatload down there once a month or once every 2 months. Quite easy to do. And it would stop the boats. If people knew they were going to go there rather than some leafy village in England, they'd stop coming.
Because I would say with that policy by reformers, my only complaint about it was practicality, because I'm thinking, well, why on earth would you want to put these migrant detention centres in the middle of Bristol or Brighton full of these shitlibs who would go out their way? Because we all know that even if Farage, let's say Farage wins, well, the left are all convinced that he's literally Hitler, so we're all going to go out their way to frustrate any deportations. I mean, it's like there was one time where a Jamaican rapist was about to be deported, but some some young women were screeching about it on the plane.
On the plane,
Yeah, and it's like, and you also had Glasgow, where a bunch of
Oh,
migrants
yeah.
were meant to be deported, and
That was
all
so that was even funnier because that was Sikhs and it was during Ramadan, which is nothing to do with them.
Even
leftists didn't fucking know that, but whatever.
Even the migrant centres in the UK, the people shouldn't be allowed out. They're illegal economic migrants, so by definition, they're all criminals, and therefore they should not be allowed to wander around anyway. They should be confined to the grounds.
But Matt Goodwin had probably the worst take on it when he said, "Oh well, these people need to suffer the consequences." Like, well,
I know.
It's like I'm sort of thinking, you ran a pretty awful campaign in Gorton and Denton, and now you're proposing to punish an entire constituency because you were shit. Like that's, like the other argument I hated about it was the whole idea of, well, if we chucked these migrants into these green voting areas, then what happened is. The Green Party voters will change their minds and see our point of view, and it's like, so have you? I'm guessing these people haven't talked to any young women ever. Like, try and get a young woman to, or just any Green Party voter. They're generally just too thick to see it, and so there was a Green Party politician in Germany who got raped. And instead of blaming the migrant, she blamed the system, saying, "Oh, well, it was just being racist that made him rape me, not him being."
I remember there was a Norwegian male politician as well. He got raped by a migrant, and then he goes, and then they actually did deport him. Well done, Norway. But then he felt really bad about it afterwards.
And if you go to any of these third world countries where these illegal economic migrants come from, so you go to like Somalia or India or Bangladesh or what have you, all of those countries have extremely high rates of sexual assault in their country to their own women. So are they going to be any different to ours?
I'm also, it's like the idea of punishing these areas, wherever you're talking about, like even if you think over 51% of people voting for something means something, right? Nowhere, I don't think anywhere will have had over 50% of the potential voters voting for Green because of like the split parties and then the fact that not everyone votes. So it's just, you're just punishing innocent people.
The truth of it is, I mean, look, whether you go with my idea of a camp on Ascension Island, which I still think is the best solution, I really do, and it's very similar to the solution that Australia came up with against their illegal boat migrants, and it worked. Even if you don't go with that, these detention centres should be in places that people don't want to go. And as I said, and I think everyone on the panel would agree with this, they shouldn't be allowed outside the detention centre, wherever it is.
Yeah. And if you take Reform's position that they won't be allowed out, because they got some backtrack. They got some pushback from saying, so you're just going to unleash rapists upon people who don't vote for you. They said, oh, well, we wouldn't let them out of the camps. Then what's the point? If that's the case, then just you want to just keep the logistics as good as possible. Make it ideally on some sort of airport so they can get rid of them quickly.
Put it on some disused RAF base, something like that. Yeah. Put wire fences around it.
Well, I was just going to say, I don't really get why, after looking at the kerfuffle that's happened in America, why they would think that having to conduct these operations in what's essentially hostile territory is in any way a good idea. I mean, I did kind of find the rhetoric of it quite funny, that people who previously were saying that people were overreacting by complaining about hotels were now claiming that having a closed camp anywhere near them was not only a concentration camp, but also akin to some sort of like, I mean, I had one person literally tell me that was taking their rights away from them, who themselves was a lefty. And I was like, right, okay, so is the hotels doing that to people in those areas? Well, no, apparently not.
Adam, they're illegal economic migrants. So by definition, they're all criminals because they shouldn't be here.
Yeah, I think Charlie Downs as well. Like, he had a take of, well, if you want to have these detention centres anyway, you want them in areas that vote our way, because in that way, it's just they're surrounded by people that would apprehend them if they ever were to escape, for argument's sake, or or some shitlib were to try and break them.
100%.
I mean, and so all these reformer camps like hounding up on him, saying, "Oh well," that Jack Anderton guy, who had to mute, said, "Oh well, Restore want to release migrants upon your neighbourhoods." And so, just fuck off.
It's very very yank coded, which I mean you expect from reform. It's like, again, it's the whole red team versus blue team sort of thing, rather than viewing us as a people. And I don't care, leftists, they're nuts. These Green Party voters, they're just deluded, like most of them, right? I don't have absolute hatred. I don't
I think they're nice people. They're just brainwashed by the education system.
Yeah. I don't want any of these green women to get raped by foreigners. I don't want that. Okay.
Yeah. I agree with that. I agree with that.
And like you said, like America's shown, don't make a song and dance of deporting people. Don't turn it into a clown show like this. Just get it done efficiently without making it
exactly. It should be efficient, and it shouldn't be on the news every night.
Yeah,
it should just be expected.
I think how it flows is he just also had a good. Oh, sorry, I'll let you go, Mercy. I've been talking.
No. What I was going to say is, like, I don't think any of us are going far enough, but like, I agree with that. Like, I don't think we should even have a detention centre. We should just take them straight back to where they came from. I suppose we've got to detain them somewhere.
Yeah.
But I don't think none of you are going far enough. I mean, the only problem I've got with detention in Ireland is I need to be within an Arctic Circle somewhere. Like, I can't imagine.
Listen, that's the thing. You see, Ascension's got quite a nice climate. It's quite hot in the summer, but it's not a terrible climate, and that would be a good thing, because it means the human rights lawyers can't moan about that.
What if we put some like big predator animals, some big bears and stuff on the island?
And televise it.
No. I would honestly, I would send a company of infantry down there, as we were saying when we were talking before we went live. You probably need a doctor and some nurses, and maybe a school teacher or two, because there are a very few women and children that come across in those boats. Not many.
Yeah, I know.
They're nearly all military-age men. About 95% of them.
Yeah, it's like the Tories were known for doing this, where any women and children were sent over to Tory areas. Meanwhile, all the rapey blokes, they were sent over to Labour voting areas. So the Tories are known for doing it. So it's not a new thing what Reform were proposing.
I mean, Labour are doing it too, aren't they? Their Operation Scatter, they're sort of trying to focus them more on the white areas.
Yeah, it's not my area. For example, I've seen a lot of immigration in my pack since the start of COVID. So, for example, it's happening to me. And I'd also, I think Harry offloads, he just also had a good take on it, where he said, well, because the thing is, a lot of people will talk about the friend-enemy distinction by Carl Schmitt, but the thing was, Carl Schmitt wasn't saying that in itself as a good thing. He was saying, well, look, if everything the state does boils into friend versus enemy, then basically you know better than like a tin pot dictatorship in like Rwanda or Uganda or whatever.
And I do hate like the idea of having to view everything like that. Just everyone's either a friend or an enemy, and just because like, I mean, again,
in that case, most people are enemies.
Yeah, exactly, and it's like, I don't like we're saying, like, I don't. Like these green women, it's not their fault. They've been misled, and most of them have been misled. They're sort of being sold a false bill of goods and everything, and they just think they're being nice. That's the thing. They're not trying to be evil. They think they're trying to be nice.
I think it's like Mercian said. I think it's the education system, but it's also the mainstream media. I mean, according to the BBC, these people are all angels.
Yeah, but what that means? So what? These poor people, these silly women, they get raped. Then I'm not for that.
Yeah, look, I think we're all agreed that wherever you put your detention centres, they should actually be secure, and the people shouldn't be allowed out of the grounds. As simple as that. They're illegal the moment they get here. They're criminals.
But the illegal distinctions pretty unimportant, isn't it? Like the legal, currently they actually say, well, actually, they're legal because of the legal interpretation. It's kind of unimportant in the grand scheme of things, though.
We certainly need to withdraw from a number of international treaties and from things like the European Court of Human Rights. That Britain just needs to withdraw from them. I think we need to abrogate the UN Treaty on Refugees as well. But if you had a decent government, something like a Restore Britain government, you could do that.
I mean, the UN refugee thing, legally speaking, doesn't that sort of say that all of these people aren't refugees? Because isn't that's the one where it's the first safe country, isn't it?
Yeah, there's no requirement on them for that, though. That's a requirement on our government.
Exactly. It's the way the government interprets these laws.
Yeah. Well,
it's Starmer interprets them in the most favourable way to anyone who's not British, basically.
Well, it's a bit like so. One of the things that's been coming up a lot recently, I've been spending a lot of time on Threads, right, for my sins. Worst social media account platform out there, literally worst. And
was it bad as Blue Sky?
It's in a lot of ways I would actually say it's worse.
There's more boomers on Threads, I'd imagine.
Yeah, there is, and they're kind of like Blue Sky are like Storm Tifa, whereas Threads is just like they still like they seem to think that like Tony Blair's just taken office for the first time still. And they literally will just sit there and say, no, diversity is us. And it's like the most grug-brained, like leftist takes. And one of the things that comes up on there that you'll notice a lot is that like I'm actually convinced now that Brexit was terrible because it's created basically a mental health crisis, and they're all on that platform. And they're all just on there every day, just losing their minds, just spurging out like about literally Brexit, everything, in the same way that we'll sit here and like analyze how everything is actually downstream of immigration. To them, everything is downstream of Brexit. And you'll see them on there, and they'll be spurging out about like, they'll be banging on about the concentration camps that Reform want to build and all this other stuff. And oh shit, where was I going with this? What did we say just before this?
About how everything is from Brexit.
Yeah. Fuck. There was something I was reading on there just earlier, and I'm like, oh, I'll bring that up. I can't even remember what it was now. Fuck. I've forgotten it now.
Okay. Anybody else have anything else to say on this, or shall we move on to our next topic?
I think so, mainly. Yeah, and it just also it was as you're going to get with everything from Mohammed Yusuf. It's the foreign brown man like saying, "Hey, British people, vote for me or you get punished." It's just I can't stand his face ever.
Oh look, we're going to talk. Well, I'm going to talk about this in a bit anyway. I mean, there's no doubt whatsoever that Reform UK is it's just the teal Tories, basically. That's what it's turning into. And if you had a Nigel Farage government, it would be about as effective as a Boris Johnson government, which gave us the highest immigration we've ever had.
Oh, I tell you what, on Nigel Farage, something I've always just had a feeling about is that they would be probably the most corrupt government we've ever had. And did you see the news story that came out about his £5 million little gift that he got? So this
no, I didn't see that.
This Thai crypto billionaire, just before Nigel said he was going to run again in 24, he goes and gives Nigel Farage £5 million, and Nigel's there going, "It was just a gift, no strings attached, just likes me. There wasn't anything, nothing like that."
Right.
Right.
Pull the other one. It's got bells on. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. £5 million just because he just loves Nigel Farage so much. When Nigel Farage wasn't even a politician or a candidate or nothing, sure.
See, he says there's no strings attached, but I thought part of the provision of it originally was supposed to cover his security needs or something like that.
Well, he wasn't a candidate. He wasn't anything. He was just he was just a TV presenter at this time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just total bullshit from Farage about this. It's just disappointing. Well, it's expected, but yeah.
I'm sure we're going to come back to Reform UK.
I mean, he's not quite at sort of rug pull meme coin levels like Trump, but he does like to make money.
I am fully expecting a reform coin at some point.
Oh, well, they've got reform gin, haven't they? Well, not reform gin, but it's like Farage gin.
Oh, have they?
Yeah, a while ago he was like the face of some, or like he basically launched his own like mini gin brand and was like flogging it through when it was the Brexit party, I believe.
I wonder if our old friend Tharium has a bottle of or two of that.
Yeah, he does. I mean, he's got the football shirt.
Someone's asking, was it the Leicester City owner?
He's this crypto guy in Thailand.
Yeah, he's like a British expat over there, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think 5 million quid ever comes without any strings, to be honest.
And of course, what like they've already announced that Reform have already announced that they'd be cutting all these strings and doing all this stuff to boost crypto, which would of course make this one person a lot richer. No strings attached. No, don't worry, guys.
None at all. Mercian, did you have a first topic for this evening, mate?
No, I just basically wanted to talk about the election. If you want to save it.
Yeah, that's going to be our main topic. So I'll just go through the rest of the panelists in case anyone had anything particular they wanted to bring up. Adamant, did you have anything you wanted to talk about other than the election?
So there was this quite dull subject that I didn't cover last week. Not really sure if we want to go into it, but it's basically Tony Blair has resurfaced and he's talking about pensions.
Yeah, I thought this was interesting.
Yeah, so
go for it.
Okay, so after he sort of like opened the floodgates and brought in all this immigration to pay for the pensions, presumably, which is something they only bring up after you ask why you're being demographically replaced in your hometown. Then it's suddenly, well, because you're not having kids and we need people to pay for the pensions. It turns out the pensions are doing horrifically anyway. I did have a graph here from last week, if I still got it. Oh, that one's quite good. Oh, hang on, I'll bring this one up. Image. So yeah, the Dark Lord returned, and he's now got this great plan to save the economy, which actually, to be honest, right straight out the gate, I'm going to have to say, not to be a prick, but I actually think his idea is kind of good.
It is, yeah,
like it's genuinely quite a good idea.
He's right,
yeah. He's like he wants to essentially do away. I mean, it says there called for the state of pension to be abolished. You might think that's like a fear mongering headline, but no, he's literally calling to get rid of the state pension and instead have a system where you do pay indirectly into an actual pension pot, which is, you know, what the boomers always like to pretend their actual pension was.
Yeah.
You'd have to work 5 years longer, and I think it only gives you about 30 years worth, which, you know, kind of does mean
in Australia, that's kind of what we have because you have superannuation here, which you pay in for while you're working, and the employer also pays a certain amount in as well. And then when you reach pension age, which I think is 66 in Australia now, but it might be 67, then you get it basically. But yeah, that's the solution, of course.
You do see that a lot in Australia, I notice, like institutions here that are like just totally broken actually do work over there because they're just like similar in name only, like the NHS, but like underneath the hood, they're totally different.
Yeah.
Also smaller numbers, and don't forget, you're talking about, I mean, less than half the number of people in Australia.
You know, they say here, they go, oh, without immigrants, the NHS would collapse. That actually is true for Australia, but it's because it's all British doctors.
But we do get some third world doctors and nurses, and there have been issues with them not being actually qualified in the same way that frequently happens in Britain with the NHS.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I imagine a similar issue where because over here it's something like 26%. I mean, this was like back in 2018, so I don't know how bad it is now. So back in 2018, 26% of all doctors in the NHS were foreign, and they made up something like 80% of all malpractice cases. I can imagine it's even worse now.
And of course, if you got rid of, as a start, all the illegal immigrants, and then later on, more of them, in my humble opinion, because I think Steve Laws is basically right, that's going to take an enormous amount of pressure off the NHS, and you wouldn't need all these foreign doctors and nurses.
Yeah, there's always there's the sort of the attitude that these people have that immigrants, they don't eat, they don't sleep, they don't get sick, they just constantly working, never taking up any space.
Don't get older.
I think Rupert Lowe pointed out on X last week that there are at least 1.5 million immigrants in the UK who have never worked. Never.
Yeah.
All they are is a drain on British taxpayers.
Well, this is the thing, you know. Obviously, like if you go back to like the like you see it on threads all the time, you know, all the boomer acolytes of like the Tony Blair types, and the you know, sort of managerial leftism, and they sit there and they scream about, and like they think that the only concern people have with immigration is just like the boats, which is like the smallest subset of the smallest subset of immigration, and they're like
it's the least important bit of it, as you rightly say, Armin. Yeah, and
they will say like, well, if you just let those people work, they can pay taxes, and then it wouldn't be a problem. As if like it is just, to them, it is just the economic argument again. And it's like,
they GDP. You didn't mention that they were GDP. That changes it.
How often on this stream, right? And this is episode 269. How often on this stream have we talked about the difficulty of young, real British men, like the people on this panel, in being able to afford a mortgage if they want to start a family? The reason you can't do that is because of immigration.
Yeah,
because Britain is so overcrowded.
Well, yeah, and even if you take out, like, even if you took out those costs, like those social costs that are a manifestation of like the economic costs, right? Here's a because we were talking about the NHS. Here's a quote by Wes Streeting in an article I read the other day that was a little old, but he says quote, "I suspect it'll be somewhat less than the enormous cost we pay in clinical negligence claims. Probably the most shocking statistic in this area is that we're paying out more in clinical negligence for maternity failures than we are spending on maternity services." And it's just like,
I tell you what, and I just want to bring this up because it's something that I certainly think is important. I've noticed that Peter Hitchens has been talking about the Lucy Ledbury case, and that's something I've looked into quite a lot. And in that NHS premature baby ward, raw sewage was coming out of the taps, not once, not twice, but many times. There's really no evidence she killed anyone. And I think it's largely a case of the incompetent NHS basically using her as a fall girl. Yeah, to be honest.
I mean, I know a guy. This story still is mad, and everyone I've told it to has never actually believed me. But I know a guy. He's very young. He's sort of in his very early 20s, and he needs 2 hip replacements because he had a hip dysplasia issue that was genetic. His brother had it too, and the NHS, like, he saw all these foreign doctors, and like they wouldn't diagnose it until it got so bad that he now needs 2 hip replacements. And he's of course taken the NHS to court over this, and during the court saga, because it was kind of mentioned offhandedly that there were like communications issues with the doctors because they were foreign, the NHS lawyers tried to accuse him of racism, and it ended up.
What a surprise! What a surprise!
He is getting a payout, but part of the payout is that some of that money's had to be ring fenced, and he has to go and see a therapist to sort out his internalized racism over this issue.
But it's like the millions of pounds that the NHS wastes on DEI stuff, you know, and also the NHS art department. Why the fuck does the NHS need an art department? Which, of course, is also very diverse, in air quotes.
I mean, I don't think the art is so bad because, like, having hospitals be nice places isn't the worst thing, but they're not. Like, I've never been in an NHS hospital and think, oh, wow, this is really nice and calming. And
they get worse, they don't get better.
Yeah.
Like, they used to be much nicer than they are now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite personal experience with the NHS is going in, seeing a doctor, this Indian guy. He comes in and goes, and he's very concerned that I'm a lot paler than he is. And he holds his hand up next to mine and goes, look at how pale you are. Are you okay? It's just, I'm always like this. Oh, okay. Maybe you should get in the sun more.
I take it that was probably in like January or something, wasn't it?
I don't tan I don't tan in the summer either. I do.
I go really dark. I've got a Spanish great grandmother I can thank for
that. I just go red and burnt.
Yeah, that's a pain when you have to use a lot of sunscreen if you're like that.
Especially just how he held his hand up next to mine. It's like, yeah. Well, yeah. You know you're not in India anymore, right? No.
I mean, I like redheads. I think redheads could be very attractive.
Yeah, redheads with that like really porcelain skin.
But they really have to be careful in the sun for sure. They need big hats and lots of sunscreen and all this kind of stuff. You know? Yeah. Although I like chicks in big hats, I have to say.
My brother's a redhead, and he's had it. Yeah, he's got really badly burnt before in the past. And when
I tell you what, my son was born with dark red hair, but as he got older, it became more and more brown. And if you looked at him now, you'd say he had brown.
Yeah, I'd say that's the same with my brother. He's a few years ago, I was just looking at him, going, "You don't really have red hair anymore, do you?" It's because it's got darker, and yeah.
It's like all my family. I mean, like, I've got dark brown hair, what little hair I've got when I don't shave it off. But all my family, when I had hair, when I was younger, when you wash it, there's a bit of red in it somewhere. You know, it's just genetic stuff.
I've got a bit more red in my beard. There's a few more red hairs in there. But my head hair is it's just dark.
Yeah. Have you finished with the stuff on the screen at the moment, Adam, or did you want to say more about it?
Actually, yeah, I do want to. I'll just bring up this other chart as well, which was actually from the same article.
Let me find that and I'll dig it up for you.
It was kind of unfortunate that Labour sort of denounced Tony Blair over this.
Yeah. So basically, they go into the briefly into the triple lock in the article, and of course they show some pretty horrific forecasts. But so he calls it the lifespan fund, and it's actually 20 years. So you'd claim it from 70, you'd retire it at presumably 70 or 73 or something like that. I don't know what happens because there's a lot of people now that are genuinely living to like just past 100.
Would Adam, would they get rid of national insurance? Because they damn well should if they're going to do this.
Well, yeah, you don't know, do you? Technically, the problem with national insurance is it does kind of fund lots of things that aren't just the pensions. So they would just go, oh, well, it's got to be wrapped into that stuff. The other thing as well is like, what happens when it runs out? If you're just getting like 20 years and there's no state pension, do they just institutionalize you in a home and then take all of your standing assets?
I think I think in a modern world, they're going to have to pay some sort of like really minimum living amount But again, if you can solve the mass immigration problem, you're not going to have that many people that you have to do that for, because
one of the main problem,
the British population is getting smaller all the time.
The main problem, so there's a big chunk of like people in their 50s and early 60s who haven't got any private pension. And the thing is, even if they did try to set up a private pension, the Labour Party would just raid into it.
Oh, so, you'd have to listen. You'd have to bring this in gradually, I think. You couldn't do it in just one big deal. And as for the Labour Party raiding things, I don't think that's something we need to concern ourselves with after 2029. I don't see a Labour government coming for a very long time.
But I don't know
about you guys.
But the thing is first off, this seems really harsh to immigrants, right? Not sure how to say it, but like, all those dependents, those aunts and uncles that come in from Pakistan, at the age of like 62.
None of whom should be allowed in the country at all. But
but can't immediately draw a state pension, or draw a state pension when they retire. The African that comes over for his master's degree, barely attends, gets a 2-year post-study visa, then says he has AIDS and can't go home.
Works as an Uber delivery driver.
Yeah, or something. Gets indefinite leave to remain, which is actually something else we should talk about at some point. Is the
that needs to be removed.
Indefinite leave to remain reforms
needs to be removed.
Well, no, I think we should talk about Starmer's indefinite leave to remain reforms, which haven't gone through yet, and literally no one's talking about them, even though it's probably economically one of the biggest deals going on right now. But
it's interesting, and a lot of things to do with two-tier Keir Starmer don't get talked about, like his Ukrainian rent boys thing. There's a deafening silence from the mainstream media about that, you may have noticed.
Just to interject on the indefinite, like, various schemes, there's also, like, under the last government and this government, there have been various schemes, like negotiations with governments like the Indian government for the tech sector, and deals also with deals when it comes to students, placements in universities. And we've also seen like the most extreme versions in the United States, which I wasn't aware that Texas, there is like a whole new like wave of Indian immigration into Texas, particularly for the tech sector under H-1B, and you've even got like brand new. It's not even just Hindus; it's Hindus and Muslims. You got like a new city, like a new Muslim city, which is being built.
It's worth pointing out that one of the unfortunate things for Texas in the USA is that huge numbers of Californians have moved there.
Yeah, I know. I think it's something like the second biggest statue in North America after the Empire State Building is the statue of like sort of Hanuman, like a Hindu god in Texas.
Yeah. I think Texas has always kind of liked their slave labor, though, because I remember I was on a stream with Don the Pleb once, and he was just saying how the illegal farm workers are just absolutely everywhere there. And, none of the farmers really want to give up that slave labor.
Yeah, it's the Republican Party. It's the Republican Party who vote through.
You're right about that. But let's be clear. The situation in Britain is not dissimilar. Lots of these big British companies, or in fact, most of them these days are multinational companies, they want this cheap labor which immigration provides. They want ordinary British workers' wages to be kept as low as possible, and they're winning on that one at the moment.
I will say it's not just the multinationals, but also plenty of farmers. I know one farmer near me he just wants cheap labour from the third world, and I'd say to some respect, there's some people who don't have the courage enough to hate the farmers.
Yeah. Oh, listen, Mitch. Years ago, and I'm talking about in the last century now. Yeah, I because I needed some money. I took a job on a farm in West Sussex, and I was picking potatoes, which, let me tell you, is one of the most backbreaking and hard jobs you can do, because and we were filling these massive, great square wooden bins, which were about, I don't know, probably 4 foot by 5 foot by 4 foot, right? and you got £5 when you filled one of those. Honestly, I could barely walk after a week, although the second week I was a bit better because I'd got used to it. But all of the people who were working there, not all of them, but probably 70% of them were like Poles and Ukrainians and, people of that description.
I picked when I was in Norfolk once for a holiday. I spent a week picking gooseberries and strawberries and all these sorts of things. And same, most of them were like the others were. You had a few children who were on summer holiday, but most of them were Poles and everything. And also that's worth mentioning is some of the farmers are actually one of the worst when it comes to encouraging importing of foreign labor, cheap foreign labor. I had a blazing row, near physical altercation a few months ago with a farmer where I live. This was a separate matter, but I know that he because suddenly in the middle of nowhere, I live in a very rural part of the country, and suddenly there was like 10 to 12 black men as in like Africans, West Africans walking about, and I know everyone knows who works at that. They work at that farm, and because everyone here is normies and idiots, they don't really want to talk about the elephant in the room because it's racism. I don't really care. So I was quite happy to go off on that a bit, and I've actually.
Can I just say, AI, to Darren Buckley in the chat, what is this fruit picker's memory lane? You know what it is? Is that we're an average bunch of English and British blokes, and we've done real jobs. All of us.
Yeah.
So
physical work. Yeah.
Sorry, there's not enough spurging out for you, Darren Buckley in the chat there. So this is what happened. When I was working on the fields, I saw a black guy and I dragged his I knocked him out, dragged him to the curve, and I curve stomped him. Is that what you want to hear?
In Minecraft, YouTube, in Minecraft.
Wasn't he picking a cotton fast enough?
Yeah. Yes. I was singing that, what was it, in 12 Years a Slave, Paul Dano? If you listen to that song.
In Australia, how they get over this stuff on Australian farms is they use backpackers. Like if you're a British backpacker, and Australia gets thousands of British backpackers, and you're on a limited budget and you want to extend your holiday, it's really easy in Australia to get a job like picking bananas or whatever it might be in that particular part of Australia at that time of year. And that's how Australia gets over it. It just the Australian farmers use backpackers. You get minimum wage, you get very basic accommodation, and if you're like a 19-year-old who's just finished uni and you're spending a year before you go do your job, it's just a way of you being able to stay on longer in Australia. Works quite well.
It's like in my neck of the woods, and you'll get farms where it's like, so they can't actually pay you a wage, but what they'll do is they'll say, okay, we'll pay for your transportation and not
accommodation,
and then any crops that you grow, you get to take home. So, for example, if you grow some apples, you can take them with you, and we won't charge you for it or anything. But they can't actually.
It's like my father used to go hop picking in Kent, which was a traditional Londoner Cockney thing to do. You'd go for 2 weeks, and you'd earn a little bit of money, but mostly it was your holiday. It was really common. I think Arman will know about this because Arman's a Kentish man or a man of Kent. I can never remember which one it is. But Londoners always used to go and pick hops in the autumn.
Yeah, there's still not far from me. There's still a row of those that sort of very basic accommodation that people used to stay in, where they'd have like a whole family to a room.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've worked on farms around here. But funny enough, I mean, not to keep going off on the tangent, but that's one of the things that gets brought up about needing immigrants for the farm labour. Is they go, well, it's seasonal. It's seasonal. I mean, most of these big modern farms, they have some sort of crop rotation where they always have something growing, especially for fruit. the irony is actually hops are seasonal, and hop farms often don't use much immigrant labour. They're one of the few that don't, but they're also not the most labour intensive either. So,
but I think it's also true that if there weren't this big pool of non-British immigrant labour, then those jobs would be available to British people. And given that Adam, AI, and I, and probably some of the others on the panel have all done those jobs, I think British people would do them if they were available.
We should force. I mean, I actually think, because it is a problem with this country, I would, and I don't say this lightly, but I actually think Pol Pot's political theory could actually work here in Britain. It could actually work to a degree. Now, just hold on, guys. Hold on before you jump in and judge a second.
Who here wears glasses? Right.
I wear glasses because my eyes are shit.
Firing squad.
But I only started wearing them when I was, I don't know, in my 50s anyway. But yeah.
But the thing is, if we were to, because if we were to like get people from the towns and the cities, and then like in droves, people like who are on like benefits or something like that, just like force them out into the countryside and work in the fields, like Pol Pot style, it actually might work. It might work this time, guys. It might actually work this time.
Unemployment benefits should definitely have some sort of requirement like that.
Yeah, if there is a job you can go and do, and you're fit enough to do it, I totally agree with that.
There's
also there's something good about working on a farm. It kind of puts you back in touch with the land a bit, which is a good thing.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone because I mean, I don't know if it's just an autistic thing for me. But whenever I go to a farm, I always because I don't know if it's just me after watching Gettysburg. When I look at farm field visas, I always just think of it as like a battlefield. Like you think of like a Napoleonic wars kind of film. And I think the only other thing is I mean I would say there are plenty of towns in this country have actually just been demolished and just turned into farms, or just renatured because.
Certainly a lot of suburbs of towns for sure. Yeah.
I mean, I will say my town is basically a suburb of like Warsaw, Wolverhampton, Birmingham, and Stoke.
The entirety of Milton Keynes.
But Mitch, yours is probably based on, originally it was probably a village of some description.
I mean, the population we can also help with fertilizer as well.
AI. This is YouTube, right? And we were talking before you joined us that I may have to monetize this channel, and if I do you'll get us banned with us.
It's official reform policy. We're going to melt down the Pakistanis and sort of potholes with them.
We're communists.
Yeah. No, I saw that. I think it was Nigerians, wasn't it? But
I'm arguing for communal farming, collectivization, and redistribution. We're communists. This is a communist channel. We're all communists now. Iron Duke. They can't.
Speak for yourself. Speak for yourself, AI. I'm not a communist. All right? I don't like communists. I used to kill them for a living. But
I do think AI. You've been a little bit too soft on the unionists and the communists lately. You're forgetting they're not human.
The thing is, because I had a run-in with the farmer, I'm actually going and then I'm reading Stalin's War, and I'm persecuting the kulaks. And I'm like, yes.
Does anybody know what Jeremy Clarkson does on his farm? I presume that Jeremy Clarkson, because he's so much in the public eye, would mostly employ real British people.
Well, he hired locals for his pub. Yeah. I saw in the thing, and when it came to the farm, the farm hand was the one chap called Caleb who works, but most of them are local. Are either he does it himself or he does hire local other farmers or people who worked in farms.
Yeah.
Is Matt Caleb tied to Rupert Lowe in some way?
Caleb takes care of Rupert's fields as well. Yeah.
Also, guys, I'll tell you this, right? The best house I ever had in England was a 1904. It was built in 1904. Farm workers' cottage, right? It had like 100-foot front garden, which was the width of the house. It was semi-detached. We had 3 stories and a garage beyond our garden at the back. And the back garden was probably 250 foot long, but only about 60 feet wide. But and this house at the time, and I'm talking about the 1990s, would have been worth probably over 200,000 quid, right? And this was a farm workers' cottage. And don't forget, farm workers in Britain didn't get the vote until after World War One.
So 200,000 back when you had it. So I wonder how much it costs now.
Oh no, I'm sure it'd be £1 million now. Not a problem, Mitch. But it was a nice house. It had good big ceilings. It had nice big rooms. A massive bow window at the front. I put a pond in the back garden and all sorts of things. But it was a lovely house. But it was a farm workers' cottage in 1904. So let's bear in mind that these guys were not always doing as badly as people think they were back in the day.
Yeah, it's like I mean Tacitus in his book about the Germans, and I think this is like more true of us than it is about the lots of the Germans and the Dutch.
Yeah.
Right. But one thing I will say, because for example, those farmhouses, like you can get farmhouses on Lincolnshire, which there's plenty of space. But the whole thing is because like Tacitus was right about how the average distance between, let's say, an average farmer and his nearby neighbour was like a mile or something like that. There was plenty of space, like acreage between, so that because it's like another thing was so I saw like this one 1940s thing about how us Brits, one thing we like our hedges because we like privacy, we like to have a fair bit of distance between our neighbours. The idea of like all these shitty Barrett new builds, like there's a village nearby me that's just getting loads of new builds lately. I don't like the Tories all that much, but I mean I think Jack was right. Jack is right when he says the Tories are being NIMBYs and reform. Like my local reform councillor.
Jack is often right. Let me say, I like Jack. He's generally very sensible.
Yeah, and the Tories. I didn't vote for the Tories. I've ended up voting reform, but I'm looking at it going. The Tory, at least the Tory guy was a NIMBY. Like at least because there's plenty of green space, but it's getting paved over, and I hate it. Like it's just feeling like a dagger to the heart every time I'm seeing just green land being put up for these shitty Barrett new builds, and
they're horrible little dog boxes. That's the other thing. Like modern British housing is so shit.
My house was built back in, like the house I live in was built back in when Neville Chamberlain was Prime Minister, and some of it's poorly designed, so it's even more terrible now.
But I'll say this though, if you're going to talk about that, some of the nicest houses you can find in suburbs in Britain, particularly in the southeast around London and what have you, are those 1930 semi-detached that were built. They're lovely houses. They're really nice, and they generally have decent-sized gardens and all the rest of it that you do need if you're going to start a family.
There's also the child question with farms, because school holidays are the times they are because children were meant to help with harvests.
Yeah, absolutely. My dad was evacuated in World War II. All right, my dad was born in 1933, and he was evacuated out of London in World War II because his family's house was bombed in the Blitz and destroyed. And he went to various places. He was in Brighton for a while, which he really liked because the daughter used to take him out, and her boyfriend was a Royal Navy sailor, and they would take him to the seaside and buy him ice creams and stuff. He went to Bracknell, which he detested because the woman fed him nothing but dumplings to to make money from what she got for taking on evacuees, and he got rickets, so his mum took him out of that place. And then he was sent to Wales, North Wales, in a country area. And his mate there was a World War I soldier who was too old to fight in World War II. And he was like the main farmhand on this Welsh farm. And he used to take my dad all over the place. But yeah, my dad used to help with the harvest and all that. And he loved it. He thought it was fabulous, you know?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, good night.
Lots of big Shire horses and stuff in those days as well, of course, which, you know,
but it's
little boys are all going to love.
It's kind of like with the mining, right? People are always banging on about miners back in the day, how horrifically paid they were, but they were actually paid quite well. To go back to the farming point earlier, like it's kind of like with the Industrial Revolution. Like a lot of the problems here, they try to make out that it was a problem of like materialism of economics, but actually it was like a social problem. Is that you were enticing people with money out of environs where they were actually better off into ones where they were worse off. Yeah, and like to go back to this pension thing, like there's a weird aspect of it with the lifespan fund that he wants to start, where it's like you can access it from the age of 27, right? Which would kind of end up meaning that you end up not getting a pension. You can sort of spend your pension before it's time, which seems really weird because if you look back at a lot of those sorts of like managerial leftists from like back then, when like FDR and that was arguing for the state pension and stuff like that, a lot of the logic behind it was, well, you can't really trust people to like save for their own retirement.
Yeah.
Which is weird because it's like these people are supposed to be liberals and yet they have this kind of like reactionary streak in them.
Adam, and in Australia, as I was saying, we got this superannuation thing in Australia. And the rule on that one is, I think from the age, it might be 61, but I think it's 60 actually. You can actually get your superannuation in a lump, depending how much you've got, if you want to do that. But you would still then get a very basic pension when you retired at 66 or 67. But it would be very basic, you know.
I mean, that being able to draw it at 27, that'd be interesting because these are like, if you can start doing it then, okay, so you won't have anything when you get to 60, but throughout all that time, you'd have all that money spare.
Great, it's great if you started a business with it.
Yeah, exactly.
That sort of thing. Sure,
yeah. I like that idea. I mean, yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, like foreigners maybe, so we have the triple lock on the pensions, which is one of the things Tony Blair's talking about. And this is where every year the pension will increase by whatever's highest, either inflation, the average wage increase, or 2.5%. So there's no way, if you're on your pension, there's no way you lose. You're always winning. And
yeah, it's sort of ratcheted, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's going to keep compounding so that...
And no one in Britain who is under probably 50 actually, but certainly 40, no one in Britain under 40 is going to get a state pension. Not a chance.
Because as it's going, the triple lock, it will eventually make pensions just... It will be so much... You'll pay so much more than working at all. And so it really has to end. Because the boomers, most selfish generation of people to have ever existed, hate this. So I'm kind of glad that... I'm generalizing.
All right, I'm not a boomer, right? Actually, officially, because
boomer is a mindset. Boomers a mindset.
It is, but there are a few, not many, I'll grant you, but there are a few boomers who do want to pass money on to their kids and stuff.
Yeah.
They're very much a minority, but there are a few.
Yeah, it's a mindset. But I'm glad that Tony Blair is taking on this sort of the hate of them because they're a powerful voting bloc.
Yeah, that's the thing is, I think Bovril probably came up with the best take where he said, essentially, because back when what was it, something to do with the pensions, like people were talking about triple lock, and you saw all these boomers just out on Twitter going, "Oh, you lazy feckless youngsters! You need to pay for me. Like you need to be forced into poverty so I can get to have my free cruises a year and all this." And you just sat there thinking, how the hell? Because a lot of these boomers, it's worth knowing, a lot of them are millionaires in terms of assets rather than money. But the point still stands, like they've got that ability. If you just get a party for like Charlie Downs types, what's stopping them from just going, you know what, okay, we'll just take all your assets and you get left with nothing because you refuse to compromise because we can't afford a triple lock. Even if we turn every single migrant, that's costing us money. We still can't afford it. And a lot of the boomers, and that's another additional angle I hate about massive migration, is the fact that any criticism of a welfare state is just modified, but because boomers will say, well, we're paying for all these immigrants, so we clearly got money where we can pay for triple block. It's like, no, it doesn't work that way. And it's worst of all worlds.
It's utter bullshit, Mitch, to be honest. That's what it is. And you've got to be pretty dumb to believe it.
Because, it is kind of irksome as well that like the ratcheting effect never works on any other policy ever. Like income tax is never has a sort of triple lock on it, so that the scales aren't just dripping down as the wages are rocketing up. You get like there's a luxury car tax, for example, and I think it's on cars over £40,000 when they're bought new, which is like fuck all for a car nowadays. Like there's loads of hatchbacks. Yeah, there's like loads of hatchbacks included in that and stuff, and it's like no rationing effects attached to that. At no point do they say like, oh, compared to the median value of a car, this is where the rate is going to be or something. It only seems to come in when it goes on welfare.
Do you remember a time like about 20, 30 years ago where you could buy like a Mercedes executive saloon for about like £20,000?
Well, I have a Discovery, and I mean, I bought that secondhand when it was about 2 years old. But when that was new, I think you could buy that for like 35 grand, and that's a Discovery 4, so it's not even that old in terms of cars. And they're now like 70 grand.
I tell you what, guys, in the 90s in Britain, you could buy a Rover 3000 Vanden Plas, which maybe Mercia will know what that is, which was one of the first cars that had a computer in it. And you could buy one of those for under £2 grand. I mean, don't get me wrong, that wasn't a new car then, but it was a big, pretty flash car, and I had one. And you could buy one for under £2,000 in the 90s.
Yeah. So the Vanden Plas was like the stack model, the lush model you'd really want. Although I hated the Austin Allegro Vanden Plas. They put like a Rolls Royce grill on it, and it was
my first car, Mercian, was an Austin Allegro, not a Vanden Plas, I hasten to add. But the first car I ever bought was an Austin Allegro, and I did a trip, and I went down into Somerset because I went and visited Chard's grave. Chard from Rorke's Drift, Lieutenant Chard, who's buried in Somerset in his brother's church, and from there I went up to Brecon to go and visit the South Wales Borderers Museum. And because of the way I drive, I killed the car on the trip. And that was an Austin Allegro. Fucking piece of shit. It really was.
It was supposed to save British Island, that car was. It was supposed to be the car that looks into the future. But what happened is they went, oh, we've got to design a new part for that. Can we change this? And they made so many changes to it. It just ended up as this... Like, oh, you've just made it an old car again by putting all. You can't just make new bits for a bloody car rather than going into your parts bin.
I'm still hoping, Mercy, and that eventually you'll get back to me with this history of the British car industry stream that I think will be quite interesting, actually.
Well, I hope so. I mean, again, what many people don't realise is we essentially birthed the Japanese car industry, and how people look up to the Japanese and their cars.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm old enough to remember when Britain still had the various bits that became British Leyland, but we also had Ford and we had Vauxhall. And I think I'm right in saying that Vauxhall was the British version of General Motors, wasn't it, Nursing?
Yeah. It's been sold to Stellantis Group now, so it's part of the Dodge, Fiat, and I think the Stellantis own Citroen and Peugeot. Now they're took in the PSA Group.
Barn Door C2I mentions the Triumph Dolomite. When I first joined the army, well, not when I first joined, but within a year, my best mate was a corporal who had a Triumph Dolomite. Nice car, actually. They were nice cars.
I'm gonna have to head off now, Iron Duke. Thanks for having me on briefly. So I'll be having to head off now.
You are always most welcome on this stream, mate.
Yeah.
Would you like to plug your stream before you go?
Yes, I did a stream last week with Bede of Britannia on the First Crusades, and then not next week, the following week, we will do a stream on the Second Crusades, and then when we get to the third one, we'll get you, Iron Duke, on for that.
Yeah, thank you. The third is the one I know a bit about, because that was Richard the Lionheart's crusade, when the English warriors who were supporting Richard the Lionheart first used St. George as a battle cry as we were beating the shit out of Saladin. So yeah, I'll come on that, no problem.
That'd be a good one.
Go clear them out of your fields, the people who don't belong.
The kulaks will be punished. The kulaks will be punished.
Well, at least you're leaving the Portuguese alone now, AI. That's an advance.
I'm gonna have, when I meet Rupert Lowe, I'm gonna have to just walk up to him and say, "Comrade Lowe, I heard you're into Ayn Rand. That is Bohemian, that is Bohemian hedonistic
anti-nation degeneracy,
and do you know about the Portuguese menace? Yes,
the Portuguese menace.
Yeah, just imagine it's like that crying black man meeting with a gun. That's going to be AI when he has something.
Yeah. The party demands it, comrade.
The party demands a cleansing of Moors. I mean, let's be honest, all Spanish and Portuguese are probably Moors at this point anyway. So
yeah.
What's that make Duke? He's got, what is it, great-grandparent who's Spanish?
Yeah, I've got a great-great-grandmother who was Spanish. That's why I tan nicely. And she was a senorita who was grabbed by a former British soldier. So there you go.
Well, which part of Spain does she come from? Like how far south? Because I have a sneaky suspicion by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
You're more.
No, not as far south as
just one drop. That's the rule. Just one drop. The rule.
I don't know.
Hey, guys! Not as far south as Andalusia. Put it that way.
The Arabs got quite far north. They got quite far north. That's all I'm saying. But
I don't care. She was really cute. All right, that's what my ex-British soldier ancestor married her. She was very pretty. He was the sort of dark-eyed beauty who would look good doing a flamenco dance. That sort of thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
All I'll say in the matter is, I'm glad my immigration policy is accepted by everyone.
Yeah,
the one drop rule.
Yeah.
Listen, the one of the policies of Restore Britain that I like is that Restore Britain want to make it easier for British men, in particular, who want to bring in an overseas wife. So, like, if a British guy marries, say, a Japanese girl or a Russian girl, she will not have a problem coming into Britain. And I think that's right, actually. I think it's entirely
Had a picture
correct.
of me when they came up with that one, I think.
that Tory cockfoster councillor, not bad for a Turk.
I will say on the final bit,
there are some pretty Turkish girls.
I will say
Ah.
nowadays I'm starting to see the same point of view as the Israeli back in the Turkish war.
I'm sorry. Sorry. This last few moments, I'm going to have to go off and watch some old Tyndall footage because I need to get my racism levels back up to a healthy level. Jesus Christ, guys!
Well, the funny thing is that
we're all evil lefties, really. You know that.
I need to boost.
We are. Look, I mean, we're all Silvio Berlusconi. That's what we are.
I'll tell you guys. Not many weeks ago, right? AI saved a guy who was going to drown in his car, an old guy. And he pulled him out because the AI is quite a big chap. And he pulled him out because if he'd waited for the fire brigade, the poor bastard would have drowned. And I am absolutely certain that AI looked in that car and decided what race that bloke was before he saved him. All right. So of course, I'm joking. Of course he didn't, because he's an Englishman, and Englishmen don't do shit like that. But, you know.
The party does. The party does, Iron Duke. And that's what matters now.
I think AI is a very good man. I just think he likes being edgy. Okay.
Maybe I do. I mean, not gonna lie. If it was, I won't say anymore. It would have been like, sorry, end of the line. End of the line. He says, I'm thinking I need help, and it's like,
AI would have just turned around and walked away and just ignored.
I don't want to get my shoes wet. You know, these are nice shoes.
Absolutely right. Yeah.
I just imagine that scene from the Manchurian Candidate where he's on the where the guy's on the yacht and or on the canoe, and the guy walks out and just flips the canoe over and just holds him underwater. That's me. That's me.
Yeah. All right. I'm joking. Yeah, I know you are, mate.
I'm joking, guys.
Actually, AI went into overwaist deep water and got slagged off by the fire brigade when they eventually turned up because he might have got drowned. But,
you got to be careful in waist deep water. Indians die in that all the time.
Oh yeah, but there's also in India that water's full of poo. Don't forget. But yeah,
waist deep. Yeah, I was going to say, because someone was just asking, what happened was the road, this was back when we had a bit of flooding a few months ago. The road by us was flooded because we have like what you call like a ream. So it's like a constant water current. And someone was driving, this old bloke was driving a car, it was small, like one of those golf vehicles, and the current carried him into the ream. I was able to get access to the field the other side, and I went in there, and because he was sinking into, the car sort of upended like Titanic style, and I was able to get him out. And the fire brigade were not happy that I went in there because it was they and I will say to people
there was probably two little girls in there, AI, who couldn't have even gone in the water, but all right.
I will say, if people are listening and seeing I wouldn't I'm a big guy. I'm quite a strong guy. I don't like to boast, but I am quite a strong guy. I'm sort of built quite strong. I wouldn't if you're like a bit flimsy and a bit small and pathetic, I wouldn't recommend doing that if you're in that position.
I will say this, gentlemen. I'm 6'2", and AI makes me look fairly short. So there we go.
Yeah, I says I could probably. I'm 6'8". That's my height. So Yeah.
Good fucking Lord. Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
Lots of old people ask you to help get stuff down from the top shelf.
He's a fucking giant. If he'd have been around in Alfred the Great's day, he would have been one of his house carls, you know.
Wouldn't have to do anything. Just stand there, looking that big. Yeah.
Were you holding this vehicle in your palm with your hand like a Hot Wheels toy?
I know it sounds a bit mad. Like my first attempt, I did actually try to drag the vehicle out of the out of the rim, out of the flowing current, and then I realised, hold on, that's retarded. I can't do that. I'm not the Hulk. I can't do that.
But AI did save the life of the poor old chap who was in the car. So and that is proper English and British behaviour, in my humble opinion.
Pol Pot would be proud.
So, are you bigger or smaller than Andra the Giant? That's where I'm trying to get now.
I'm probably. He probably is a wee bit bigger than me. He probably is. Yeah.
Yes,
I don't know.
Englishmen come in all shapes and sizes, but we all share the same bravery and courage. All of us.
A few weeks ago, there was this video. This African woman who's in her car, stuck in a some flooding had happened, and the car's stuck in this little dip in the road, in some water. And the fire brigade come out. They throw her an inflatable to get on, and she doesn't want to go though, and she ends up suing them because they made her get out her car and get her shoes wet.
Just to actually,
it was like thigh high deep water as well. It wasn't, but yeah.
Just to answer someone in chat saying, could the Hulk Hogan body slam me? When it comes down to fighting, I have been punched several times. Not regularly in the face because people can't usually reach me that high, but I've been hit. I have never been knocked down. I've been punched in the face probably once when I was younger, but I've never been knocked down.
That's because no one can reach that high. No one can reach your face.
AI, same. I've been in many fights in my life. In fact, the last one I had was probably only 18 months ago, maybe, where I live now in Australia. And this guy had a metal baseball bat. Didn't do him any good. But anyway. I've done. All men have been in fights. You get in fights at school. You get in fights when you're a young man. You get in fights occasionally when you're older because you're a man. You do that.
And when I did rugby and even a bit of boxing before lockdown, because I did the bit of boxing. One of the most frustrating things was I actually could. I did play rugby. I never actually used all of my boxing strength in that regard. I
they would have put you in the lineouts for sure, mate. In rugby union, yeah.
Yeah,
you would have been in the lineouts. A guy as tall as you would be like a gift to any rugby team.
Can we have a fight between AI and Mark Ruffalo? Who's the real Hulk?
My money's on AI on that one, but yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know, like, I remember having a conversation with a bird the other day, like, about, because basically she was asking why my nose was broken. Well, because it is. Like, I've had it broken, like, I don't know, 6 or 7 times now, I think. And
my old man had a broken nose, Mitch, because he boxed. And, you know, boxers have broken noses. No big deal.
Yeah, it's like, I don't. I mean, she was saying something like, "Oh, she's saying like how rare it is nowadays." Because basically, a lot of blokes my generation, they haven't been in a fight in ages, and it's like, well, I can. And it's like, and she's saying like, "Oh no, apparently me having a broken nose makes me stick out." And I go, I don't know whether to take that as compliments or not.
I'm not joking, guys. When I was at school in the early 1970s. If I didn't get in one fight a week at school, that would be amazing, you know. And I wasn't a particularly guy who got into fights, you know. I just sometimes you have to, because someone wants to pick on you, and you got to show them you're not a cunt, basically.
Yeah, so I lived at the tail end of, because when I was at school, it was always at break time. If you had a bully, you said to your bully, "Okay, we're meeting at this time after school." Maybe a bunch of witnesses, but
I did that. Yeah,
sort of that kind of thing. I was kind of the last tail end of doing that because the female teachers cracked down upon it, and I hated the female teachers for that.
Does it bode badly on me that because I used to love playing rugby, but that I used to just weave through everyone and barely got touched?
There's room for all types.
Like a ballet dancer.
I even did the typical stereotypical thing of guys of when I joined my secondary school. I was the only one from my primary school there, so I didn't know anyone. Had some people picking on me, and eventually we became friends because we had fights about it, and then we became friends.
I was just going to say, Thariam, that Domina U Diablis is saying, I never lost a fight at school. I was a tough kid. I lost quite a few fights at school, actually. But you know what? The fact that I fought meant that fewer and fewer people bothered, because if you fight, you still hurt the guy even if you don't win. And that's AA used to do all this shit about bullying at school, which I'm sure he knew almost nothing about. So I don't think AA's ever been a fight in his life, to be honest. But
he was pro-bullying, though.
Yeah, I know he was.
Now he escaped out the back of a kebab shop while his mates were in a fight once.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, if you will fight, you get less shit at school, because even if you lose, the other person also gets hurt. And eventually they go for easier targets, basically. That's what happens. That's always the way with boys.
I'm going to head off now, but fun story. When I did play rugby, the only time this was in a ruck. You remember when you got in a ruck? I accidentally broke someone's poor leg twice. In two places in the shin. And he had to have a metal plate put in. So
be honest, you broke it once, and then you stamped on it for good measure when no one was looking.
How did you manage that? How did you manage that?
He got his leg stuck in. He got his boot stuck in the mud, and I didn't realize.
Oh, okay.
And I went in for the tackle, and I basically just went all motion.
Like a toothpick.
His leg fell off. Yeah. The foot was stuck in the mud still. His body was 50 meters down the field.
Back when I used to watch sports ball, I used to like Test cricket and Test rugby union above all things. And rugby union is a really manly sport. It's like American football, but without all the extra protection they give those guys. So yeah, AI is a good bloke. I like AI. He's a good man. And thank you for joining us this evening.
Thanks, Iron Duke, and I'll see you guys next time.
Go well.
Yeah, schools are very sanitized now, which is I think a bit of a shame.
Yeah.
Yeah, it used to be partly how you learned to be a man was at school, because you took your knocks. And you gave a few knocks back, and you got your place in the hierarchy. That used to be the way things were.
Yeah, I know a number of guys who just they've never been in a fight, and it really shows.
Well, as like so many things, what happened in school is they built it around women essentially.
100% mercy on that is what they have done. And of course, that doesn't suit boys at all. It just doesn't.
I mean, how many problems you can literally just detail as women, like being in part the cause of it, or let's have a system tailing itself around women.
As we've kind of alluded to earlier in this stream, mass immigration, a lot of it is down to women, because they're twats and they don't have any common sense, basically. Most of them.
Really?
There are a few exceptions.
Do you know what most of our streams can be? Women. Essentially, when you boil it all down, women.
Yeah.
We ought to have the Harry Enfield chumney warmer. Women know your place.
I tell you what, Clarkson's Farm asked the other day on X, on Twitter.
Is that the fake one?
No, the real Jeremy Clarkson's Farm.
Okay.
I only follow the real one. I don't follow any fake ones.
Because there's one with like 300.
Yeah, I know. I know. But yeah, he asked, what is something that's disappeared over the last 20 odd or 30 years? And I said masculinity, because it is.
Mm-hmm.
Masculinity used to be very, even when I was a kid in the 70s, right? It was very important. You wanted to be masculine if you were a male. And today, it's kind of like, you're evil and toxic. Yeah, exactly, Frank. Exactly.
Yeah, I would say, I'd say this is one hill to die on. Is I think we're going to need for temporary. I think for like a period of like 10 years, we need something like conscription, because there's so many blokes of my age group or younger who just don't really have any masculine role model to go off, and he's going to need something like that to get them into it.
or the Navy, or even the Air Force sometimes, I suppose. But yeah, but you know, I'm not a big fan of the RAF. I got to say,
well, that's a good point, Mitch. Because if you look at sort of the in this sort of void, you see the men who stepped up into it. First, you had like Jordan Peterson, he's gone nuts, and then you sort of got Andrew Tate, and he's just a cunt. And now it sort of seems to be Clavicular is the one that's sort of taking up the attention of these young upcoming guys, and that's just so feminine. He's just such a woman, really. It's just all about trying to look pretty for the other guys. That's Clavicular's whole thing.
Yeah, and also he's made himself.
Is that the guy in America? Is that the guy in America who's been charged with attempted murder?
I don't think so. This is the guy who he started injecting himself with testosterone and stuff when he was 12. So he's all sterile. Smashes his face with the hammer.
Yes, that's the guy I mean. Yeah, that's the guy. Yeah, that is not someone you should admire as a young chap. I'm sorry.
And his whole mindset of this looks maxing shit. It is just trying to look prettier than the other guys, which is so feminine.
But women don't like pretty guys.
No.
I've got to tell you, all right, I'm older than everyone on this panel. Women do not like pretty guys. They like handsome guys, but their idea of handsome is not pretty.
I mean, he'll tell you he's not doing it for women. It is just to try and be prettier than the guys, which is like the.
So he's gay. He's gay then.
Well, so no, it's like a reverse batch of bars, even, is it?
Yeah. Well, I think it's quite like the Catamites. You know, you're trying to be the prettiest little boy for the strong Greek warriors.
Yeah. It's just being gay.
I mean, he's got girlfriends.
If you're a man, all you really care about, if you're a man, in terms of like sexual and attraction stuff, all you care about is women. And women don't like pretty boys. They never have.
I will say a lot of women, unfortunately, around stuff like SSR boys of a pill, which makes them go for the Timothy Chalamet types. With this way, a lot of women are not actually going for the Clint Eastwood from like The Good, Bad and the Ugly. They're not looking for that anymore, unfortunately. They're going for the Timothy Chalamet type of lad.
Like this Clavicular guy, he does have. There's plenty of women who are interested in him because he's the hot shit at the moment, kind of. But it's really feminine. It's a really feminine state of masculinity.
So-called influencers, Darian, right, who will get paid thousands of pounds to go to a Middle Eastern country where Arabs will piss on their face and stuff like that. Yeah. And worse. Yeah, absolutely. But you just ignore those people. Really, just ignore them. If you look at good women, they don't like pretty boys. They like men who look manly. Yeah.
Looking for good women is few and far between when it comes.
Oh
to
yeah, no, 100. I'm never going to argue with you, Mitch. I think looking for a good woman is like looking for a needle in a haystack these days.
I was talking to a woman earlier. Like she was like a couple of years younger than me. Tried talking to her. It's like talking to a lobotomy. There's no point. She's got no personality. It's just
I agree.
She just spends all the time on the phone, and I'm thinking, I just sooner just get drunk and hit my head and just break my jaw or something and deal with this woman again.
Yeah, in our age range, Duke. Like I know you know this, but it's a lot worse than it is for you.
Well,
I know this is true. Adamant. Sorry, you were saying.
I'm going to head off. That's all I was going to say.
All right, Adamant. Anything you wanted to say about the elections yesterday? Because we're just about to start.
No, I didn't really have anything to say on it. It's been fun to watch.
Right,
I'm actually kind of enjoying the Reform victory, but
Yeah, I think it was a Reform victory. Well done. Adamant, my best friend on the internet. Thank you very much for joining us.
All right. See you next week. Cheers.
Go well.
Night all.
Look, I'm just going to say this. The only woman I'm talking to at the moment is Japanese in Australia. And if you want to call me a race traitor or anything like that, go for it. You're pretty much wasting your time because I'm not having any kids any more than I already have. And my son was born with a English British woman, so whatever.
You won't get that from me because I unironically agree with the LEG immigration policy, which has become the Mercian immigration policy, and I have very good because it seems like a meme on the face of it, but it's foreign women appreciate a good man better than English women at the moment, and quite frankly, English women do need to be put in their place a little bit, or Western women, to be honest. But
You watch some of these videos of women in Manchester at night, for example, when they're outside flash nightclubs where you might find Manchester United or Manchester City players, and these sluts are trying to get one of those guys. But some of them are so hugely, enormously fat that I wouldn't look at them when I was an infantry private, let alone as a multi-millionaire soccer player. I've got to tell you, I just wouldn't even look at them.
What, you want to have double baggers?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what we called them in the army, Mitch. This is a woman so ugly that you put a paper bag over her head, but you also put one over your head in case her one came off. But serious. That was a British Army joke in the 80s.
I think
it's a good one. I like it.
Yeah, I will say because people talk about like English women. Yeah, that's one. I know one country that goes under the radar is Spain. Like the Spanish women are bloody awful. Like they've got what's called a gender violence law, which in other words means so if you have sex with a woman, she doesn't like the sex, she can make an accuse you of rape.
But that's true in almost. That is true in almost every Western country.
Yeah,
I know, but the way the Spanish.
If a woman changes her mind the next day, you're fucked, basically.
Yeah, it's like that ginger guy off America who did that song a few years back. I forget what it's called. Like the rich eating the poor.
Yeah.
His wife has divorced him, and now half his money is now hers. Not to mention any royalties he gets from that music. Also go to her.
Yep. That's the way women make money. No work, just like monkey monkey barring off of blokes. That's how women make money.
Actually, the problem now you've got is with engineers things so that women are actually in corporate jobs, and we will hate it because now the men are just like, you know what, fuck this, I'm not going to bother working. I'm just going to be unemployed and just be and just do the reverse housewifing. And it's like, and the women are hating it because they never realise, men didn't have it so great 50 years ago. And it's a matter of boils and mortar. I know South Korea, they've always got the same problem where...
Yeah, I was going to ask about South Korea because I know they've had like feminist cults in charge of their government and stuff.
South Korea has a big problem with feminism. But you know what? Japan does not. It doesn't.
Yeah, because the thing about South Korea is all the men are drafted at the age of like 18. So from 18 to 21, those men can't get into jobs. So by the time they leave the army, all the good paying jobs are taken by the women, and it's just the worst of all. And you've also got what's called the 4B movement, which I've heard some people overblow it, but the point is basically it's all about refusing sex, refusing any it's just full on man hatred. Like it's just
but that's not true, Mitch. In Japan,
South Korea and Japan are very different societies.
Yeah, very different. Thank you, Mitch. That's
like
what
if like put it this way, I know like some people they will confuse Japan with South Korea. Like, if you were to say that to either, I think both would be like wanting to kill you.
The Japanese and the South Koreans don't like each other at all.
No one in Asia likes each other.
Well, for historical reasons, but also Asians are honestly very racist. I mean, which is the natural way for humans to be. But Japan has a much higher birth rate than South Korea.
Oh, it's not much.
No, it is.
Japan's really low as well.
No, it's
Japan's is 1.3,
better.
1.4, is it? I mean, South Korea is like 1.9.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like, quite a bit better in Japan.
And relative terms, it's
Japan's is about where Britain's is pretty much.
Yeah, I will say Japan doesn't have to do with North Korea right outside their doorstep. So I reckon 100th anniversary of the Korean War, I won't be surprised if North Korea just marches in. Because
maybe, Mitch. But I will just say this: that Japan does not have the same problem with feminism that South Korea does. It doesn't.
Okay, but they're two very different countries, or Duke. Like they've got different.
100, mate. That's
like the people of
kind of what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but I don't think anyone here is saying South Korea and Japan are anywhere near the same. Like I'm
good.
Like
good. I know you know that, Mitch. I don't think all the audience does.
Well, I would say guys, I think the only country that had the women being drafted was Israel, and even they're phasing that out. So, I mean, it's literally. I know.
Israel has actually totally got rid of that. They do still draft women, but never into frontline fighting units.
Doesn't Russia do something similar?
Yeah,
again, not into fighting units, but
never into frontline fighting units. There's no women on Russian warships. There's no women in Russian infantry battalions. Same thing with the Israeli Defense Force. They tried it. It didn't work, and they don't do it anymore.
And
I'm no great fan of Israel, by the way.
I know with Russia, but there are some videos where you can find, let's say, for example, you got like a guy driving sort of like a military motorcycle, and the women will just, and the women more than anything, they'll just ride along. Like that's the closest they'll ever get to actual combat, like these military sort of wargaming stuff. But another thing about Russia is lately they've signed in a law that said if you, as a woman, are unwilling to have children, they'll have you referred to a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Guys, before we close, and we've been going 1 3/4 hours now.
I don't know if you want to talk about because there was a subject about American redistricting. I don't know if you want to
heard something about that. Do you know anything about it?
I don't. Tell us, Darren.
No, this is Mitch. I don't know either.
But basically, so well, parts of the South that going back to Reconstruction may have all these black majority districts, like they're specifically built to help the blacks after the Civil War, and what has because with Virginia they tried to do a redistricting to fortify the Democrat Party, but instead what happened was the Virginia Supreme Court, so not the Supreme Court in Washington, but the state Supreme Court in Virginia, they struck it down saying it's bad, basically. And then all these Republican states down south, like Alabama, Mississippi, I think Texas, Louisiana, Florida, etc., they've all started redistricting. So, for example, in Tennessee, you have the city of Memphis, which they have like black-only districts going back to the Civil War, and now they've just gone rid of them. I don't know if it's gone through yet, but they're going to get rid of them if it goes through. And the whole point is that the Democrats are set to lose at least 12 seats, with the GOP gaining something like 24. Now, the GOP problematic as they are. Yeah, you got all the because I know a lot of things about Kentucky. Is you got where about Mitch McConnell in North Carolina. You got Lindsey Graham, so it's really a matter of really.
So has this stuff actually gone through, or is it just being talked about?
It's proposed, but I think I know in Florida they are doing it. Like Ron DeSantis has put it through, but the rest of the South, it's at the moment it's only proposed. They haven't gone through with it. But I mean, after what the Democrats tried to do, I think there's great pressure on the GOP down south to actually do it. But then again, don't fall the GOP, but then never underestimate the GOP to take defeat from a jaws of victory on something.
All of that aside, fascinating as it is, can we please, before we close, talk about the British local elections?
Yeah, I think
hang on, where Restore Britain did exactly what they said they would do. There was nothing for the so-called Conservatives or the Labour Party, and the Greens did worse than they should have. Now, Reform did quite well, but I agree with Sargon, Carl Benjamin, and Dan from the Lotus Ears that those votes were lent to Reform because they were the only guys available on this occasion. Yeah. I think once there is a full Restore Britain group across the whole country, I think most of those votes will go to Restore Britain. Discuss, gentlemen.
Yeah, I think the fact that the Tories didn't do nearly as badly as was expected is really a sign of Restore's weakness. Because you think of how shit the Tories are, right? And the Reform should be dominating them, but I don't know, they didn't quite. Not to what was expected. I think that's yeah.
There are two bellwethers for me that
it's difficult to argue that Reform UK are not still Tories. It's really difficult to argue that is not true. Sorry, Mercy, carry on.
I was just going to say, because the Liberal Democrats did really well.
Yeah, they got off a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the We Need Quiet Trains it really did wonders on that one. And in my constituency, I won't tell you which constituency it is, but we got a Conservative MP last election. Mm-hmm. We've now got Reform councillors, so that's interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, we had our council elections in my area in the previous round, so I got a Reform council already. They've just been shit. So I'm not. It's.
I've heard the stories you said about it.
Yeah, I think Jack didn't say something. He works. I don't know what he works in precisely, but he said that Jamie McIver, who's in charge of Reform's local government side of things, basically, aside from doing like small red meat stuff, like raising a flag, he hasn't got anything.
No.
So it's just a matter of and it's like the other thing was like a few months back they were saying, "Oh well, look at us, we're not raising taxes," and it's like, well, they were still raising taxes.
Yeah, you did.
Just at a lowest rate, but it's still raising taxes.
Yeah, and it wasn't the lowest rate either. They were almost as much as it was like just a smidgen off like the maximum amount they could raise it.
Yeah, because the thing was, Reform went into the election saying we're going to cut your council tax, and then they went and realised, oh wait, 80% of all council spending is done on the orders of Westminster, only 20%, and it's sort of stuff like potholes and like the roadworks around me. They're still the same as what they were back under the Tories. It's just like they always get the cheap shit that just breaks down after a few months, and then the roadworks have to happen again and again and again. And
do you remember that Doge shit that Mohammed Yusuf started? Just fizzled out into nothing, total nothing, absolutely waste of time, just to gain another sort of yankified sort of publicity stunt.
I think Bother also had a good take when he said basically areas which the Green Party held before these local elections, they lost out, and we're getting new ones in other areas, basically because everyone's just getting really familiar now with Zach Polanski, and people are beginning to hate him.
On that. Right, you know how we were thinking that 2029 will turn into Restore v the Greens. Do you think it'll actually be Restore v the Liberal Democrats?
I don't know, because Lib Dems are very specific kind of niche, man. Like they're just the leafy suburbs. Or well, I don't live any of the diversity.
I just think no one really, but the true hardcore are going to go for Labour, and quite frankly, you're insane if you vote for the Greens. At least Liberal Democrats have something. To
be fair, Mercian, you've got to be insane to vote for the Lib Dems too. But all right.
The Lib Dems have a lot more potential.
I would say like the problem was the left wing side of things. They're all splintered. You got everyone from you got all pretty much the vast majority of parties are all just left wing. So if you're left wing, you got so many options, but that actually dilutes you. Whereas
I just think
you've literally just got to Restore, and that's it.
I just think there's a lot of political normies that might get turned off by some of the Greens' policies, like simple things like reducing the speed limit nationally to 50 miles an hour and 20 miles an hour in cities.
The Lib Dems agree with many of those policies.
I'm sure they do, but they're not. They're not publicising it. You know what I mean?
They don't present as crazy as the Greens.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. And
well, I mean, this is the thing. If you support the Green Party, you support these two little old ladies smashing the glass above the Magna Carta. You support these morons spray painting Stonehenge. That's the Green Party, Just Stop Oil and all these people. That is the Green Party. Now, I would argue that the Lib Dems are not very far away from those, but I see what you're saying, Mercy.
Yeah, because the thing is like Green Party is just the Muslims, and even I don't know how much of that is going to be a thing when Zach Polanski's
Zach Polanski's that sort of Green Party march they did a few weeks ago, where he's up on stage with a bunch of strippers in bondage gear, male strippers dancing around in bondage gear. What on earth is that? Like that is not something that
male strippers. Yeah, well, that's quite telling.
That's not something that has,
isn't it? He's kind of gay.
He's very gay. He's openly gay.
Yeah, and I would agree with the idea that Liberal Democrats to vote for Liberal Democrats is quite insane. But on the face of it, think of some of the things I've been projecting lately, like the no loud music in trains sort of thing. Like, to the normal person, it's sort of like, well, yeah, of course, I don't want loud music on trains, because that's almost a Tony Blair strafing right. But I think that's just natural in Liberal Democrats anyway, because you're talking about the Mrs. Bouquet party, but essentially.
Before we close, guys, and we've been going almost 2 hours now, what I'd like from people on the panel, what is your takeaway from the local election results? Because my takeaway is that the real British people really want change. And yeah, quite a lot of them lent their votes to Reform UK. But I don't think they are committed Reform UK voters. And I think if Restore Britain get their act together, they're going to wipe the board the next time there's a major British election. But what do you guys think?
I mean, Great Yarmouth is Rupert's stronghold, but it was really overwhelming there. Everyone, like between 40 and 50% of the vote for all of the candidates, all 10 of them. And yeah, I think, yeah, and yeah, Reform just, I agree with, like you were saying, it's kind of just a protest really at the moment. It's not out of any real love for Nigel and stuff. I mean, I think it's like a third of Reform Party members don't even want Nigel to be the leader. So, okay, like that's not great if you've got such a huge percentage of your thing aren't happy with you. Oh, mind you, the one thing. Sorry, I meant. Do we think Starmer's going? Because he's digging his heels in.
No, I heard like there was a Labour plot to remove him.
Yeah.
One of the plotters decided, oh yeah, he's going to text it to Downing
Yeah,
Street.
I know.
Brain of Britain, that guy. Labour Party in a nutshell. But you know what? I don't care if Starmer goes or stays.
I hope he stays.
Angela Rayner would be even worse. I mean, you know.
The thing is, because that's the thing, Keir Starmer. I know some people reckon like if Keir Starmer goes, Keir's goodbye to any chance of indefinite leave to remain being reformed in any way. Because it's like, imagine David Lammy taking over.
Yeah, I really hope Starmer stays though.
I've got to say, I don't want to live in a Britain run by David Lammy. All right, I really don't.
It would just be the only upside would be how absolute the clown show. Like everyone can see the clown show of having two Africans debating in Parliament.
I am a black man standing here today as he sits down. Yeah, go and look at David Lammy on Celebrity Mastermind. It's classic. It's really good.
Or that clip where
I think
I can't see any policemen. There's actually a policeman behind him.
I think internally within the actual Labour Party, though, Starmer is he's just destroying them completely, which is great for us. Just burn this party to the ground. Keep going, Starmer.
Yeah, and he said to them as well, like, if you try to get me out, I will just call a general election. So it's like total scorched earth.
And they'd all lose.
Because if he calls a general election, Labour are not going to win, and every single Labour MP knows that.
Yeah, it's amazing that all of the cabinet members, they'd all lose their seats currently, as it's projected. Which is like, cabinets, it's normally safe. These are the safe seats and the safe people. Nah, not anymore. There's no ground for Labour anymore.
There's only one thing that will stop the Starminator, and that's 2029.
Yeah,
maybe. Look, I hope, Mercian, that Starmer is DC'd and he does call a general election. Because if he does, Labour are going to be destroyed.
Yeah, but we need a few more years for Restore to build up. It's 2029.
That's okay. You're still going to end up in another election in 4 years' time.
I have full faith that the Starminator will make it to 2029, and he will take it to the second. Honestly, he won't leave any room.
I don't have full faith in that at all. Actually, I think the election will be in 2028. Even if Starmer stays in power, I think it will be in 2028, and it's going to be the best British general election since at least 1945, because all of the people you hate, like the Labour Party, the so-called Conservative Party, etc., they're all going to be destroyed.
Yeah, I would. Yeah. I mean, some people are saying, I'm surprised he hasn't been tossed. I mean, the problem is, Starmer is the best the Labour Party's got.
Yeah. Yeah, like Angela Rayner is currently if she was to be replaced today, Angela Rayner is currently the favourite. Absolute thick as pig shit, that woman.
Yeah, well, listen, I wouldn't fuck Angela Rayner. And I'm in my 60s.
Yeah.
I'm in like my 60s.
She calls herself working class, but and this is one of thing Ed Dutton's been on recently.
Never
she's not
done
working class.
a day's work.
She's underclass. Yeah, she is underclass. She is pure scum of the. Just that's all she is.
Yeah, so I'd say her IQ has to be 95, and didn't she become a grandmother at the age of 38 or something?
Yeah, yeah.
Like
she was just a slag in school, and then somehow got into unions, and then got into the Labour Party.
And she's still a slag.
Yes, still is.
And honestly, I tell you, mate, guys, I'm in my 60s. I wouldn't look at her twice. Honest.
Yeah,
like, she's not even cute. She has no excuse.
I thought you were going to say you didn't like
her. Just evil.
I thought you were going to say you didn't like her just because you can hear her voice. Because that's usually what's grating about me whenever I hear her voice.
Yes, yeah, you're right, Mitch. But she just does. She's not cute looking, and she doesn't look like a cute English woman. Cute English women have a certain look, and she don't have it. Not at all.
Would be asked what about Diane Abbott? I mean, Jeremy Corbyn. So they said yes to that.
that is the worst thing you can say about Jeremy Corbyn.
One of the comical things is thinking about Corbyn when he had his affair with Diane Abbott, and Diane Abbott crushing Corbyn under her. That's one of the comical things in British politics. It really is. It's like, surely this must be a guy. No, this really happened. Like, God.
It's funny. It's funny, like with the Greens, how they've because it was like there was a thing at the a little while ago. It was like, is it going to be the Greens or Corbyn's your party thing that takes off as the sort of the challenge to Labour? And I think Corbyn would have been a better choice for the leftists than Zach Polanski. I think Corbyn, he's not as optically repulsive as Zach is, because everything Zach does is just disgusting. How he looks is disgusting. I think Corbyn gets a bit better.
I have to be honest that in Minecraft YouTube, I would shoot both of them in the back of the head, but only in Minecraft, of course.
I can completely see why the left would absolutely love Jeremy Corbyn. He's perfect for the left.
Yeah,
he like that thing where he's sitting on the floor in the train to give other people seats. Like the left love that sort of shit. You can't see Zach Polanski doing shit like that.
Nah. And he did, and like, everything about Zach is. That is just his face. You can't see his face, and is just a revolting face.
He wants to destroy Britain totally. Yeah. That's what you're voting for if you vote for that scum.
I feel like
guys, we're gonna stop shortly.
Right.
So if you want to plug your channels, now's the time to do it.
Well, my channel's on a bit of a hiatus, but you can. Feel free to watch some content on it.
Yep, same.
Yeah, you can find my channel at Mitch History Channel, which I didn't do anything this week because my local restore branch had a meeting back on last night, and couldn't do anything on Thursday night either. So I think I might do a stream next week about Patrick R. Claiborne.
Mitch, by the way, guys, if you don't know, he has an excellent history channel on the American Civil War. Go and check him out. Mercian, did you want to plug in?
I was just going to ask Mitch. Do you have any idea how long sort of the American Civil War stuff's going to take? Do you have much planned for it?
I'm going to be the upcoming stream I've got. The only reason I'm including it is because on the way I mentioned. After that, I'm planning on getting on rent about Reconquista stuff, and I'm Mercian.
Okay, that's good.
Was going to do, because I did say in this month I was going to do a stream or two of it, but I don't exactly have a plan, because I don't know. I think Mercian, you said like Reconquista in general, which be the Britannia, he's a lot more knowledgeable about the Muslim stuff. I know a lot more about the Christian kingdoms, so I can talk a bit about Portugal, because it's still like Spain, how unified all that. So
I can say to people that Americans who watch Mitch's channel are quite impressed with his knowledge of the American Civil War. Go and check it out, guys. Do check out Mercian's channel, which I dare say will come back soon, hopefully with better guests. And check out Farage. Of course, thank you very much to Adaman. Always a welcome guest on this stream, and my longest internet friend, like probably 7 years now. And of course to AI, who is a very good guy, even allowing for his propensity to Fed post.
He loves it.
Yeah, no, he likes doing that. I know he does. All right, guys. Thank you very much. I think we should all be happy with the election results the other day. Restore Britain and Rupert Lowe and Great Yarmouth first. They won every seat they stood for, and they won it easily. Labour got nothing. The so-called Conservatives got nothing, and the Greens did less well than they should have.
The Tories did hold on to Jack's area, which he was hoping for.
Big deal.
Well, he was hoping for that.
Yeah,
I took over Westminster.
Oh, yeah.
And they took over the Westminster City Council. The point is, guys, everything is actually going in our favour. And if you look at the real right-wing British nationalist guys on X, for example, people like Morgoth, people like people like Steve Laws, these guys are all very upbeat about what's going on, because I really think we're winning, and the British people are slowly starting to wake up.
Yeah, it will also be interesting to see how many of these reform new councillors decide to defect in the coming sort of months.
It will be. Listen, as far as I'm concerned, reform are the Teal Tories. They're never going to be anything more than that, really. But whatever. But anyway, thank you to my guests. Come back and see us on Wednesday, when I will be talking about the battles of Flaban and Cambulla in the Anglo-Zulu War of 1879, which some of you might find interesting. And of course, in the meantime, we'll be back next week. Do not let the bastards grind you down. Good night, people.